All right. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me with this Vitamin Joy Spirit Gallery. Many of you are familiar with me, some of you are not. What that means for me is that I have to offer everyone a brief introduction to me and what you can expect here and what this morning will look like. Okay. So, for those of you who have heard my story and know what to expect, get your coffee, settle in. I apologize for that, but we're going to get through that and then we're going to jump into the fun. Before I offer my introduction and let everybody know what to expect, I want to ask everybody to do two things for me. And these are things that I ask everybody to do either with me one on one or in a group session. I'm going to ask everybody to walk into today with an open mind and no expectations. The other thing that I want everybody to do for me is to walk in with a sense of humor. Okay. So I'm calling this the Vitamin Joy Spirit Gallery. And I am a big believer in what I call, or Spirit calls, vitamin joy. And why do those two terms go together? Vitamin joy. What I have discovered in my 45 years of being on planet Earth is that nobody avoids grief and turmoil and pain and trauma. Nobody avoids it. Everybody will have that handed to them eventually in this world. We should do our best to pursue and consume those activities, whatever we can find that gives us joy. And I define joy as participating in something that helps us step outside of our story for just a moment, that gives us pleasure in that way. And what I'm going to ask everybody here to do is I'm going to do this for 2 hours. I'm going to read random people. I don't know where we're going with that, but I will ask everybody to just hold on to something that brings them joy. We've got about 50 people in here, and that means 50 different lives, 50 different perspectives, and potentially 50 different ideas of what could bring our fellow human joy. And I call it vitamin joy because, we got to take vitamin C and D and A to keep our bodies healthy. We must consume and pursue joy so we can keep our spirit and our mind and our heart healthy. And people who are deficient on vitamin joy grow up to be jaded and judgy bitches. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to spend my life growing up to be jaded and judgy bitchy. I'm not going to do that. This is a gift that I have, and I'm not going to waste it by being deficient in joy. So, what you need to know about me, and I'm going to try to keep it brief, is that I found this path in 2016 when my husband gave me a DNA test for Christmas. That DNA test fascinated me because the little bit that I did know about my family, there were assumptions about what we were kind of made of. And then there were other things that was discovered in that DNA test that fascinated me, that prompted me to sign up for Ancestry.com. As soon as I started to build family trees, that's when I had all sorts of interesting stuff happen to me. I would feel things, hear things, know things, see things, all sorts of things would come to me from an external place. And when that was happening, I am very clear when I say this, it frightened me. I had no idea what it was. I had no basis of comparison. I am very proud of the fact that I was raised by bikers. I was raised by bikers. I was raised by people in rural northern New England who were doing their best to get by, and they were a rough and tumble crowd. So that means I had no church. Well, growing up, I was basically a kid that knew I was gay at a very early age, knew that I loved scary things like Stephen King and Nightmare on Elm Street, and I couldn't get enough of that stuff. When this stuff started to happen to me, I had no spiritual foundation whatsoever. So I did what people do when they're frightened of things. I pulled back from it. I noticed that over the course of some experiences that these things would not stop, no matter how hard I tried to make them stop. So I decided to figure them out. I'm giving you the fast version of this. Halloween 2017, I decided to run a science experiment. I had my husband get me 9 people that I did not know. I did not want to know them. I did not want to know who they were or what their names were. And I just wanted to sit across from them and a science experiment. If you remember from high school or college what the scientific method is, you got a hypothesis or a suspicion, you run an experiment, you gather data, you cross-reference the data to the hypothesis and come up with a conclusion. And that's what I wanted to do. I ran an experiment. The first person that I sat across from was a woman. Never met her before, did not know her name. And the first thing that rolled off of her, and the first question that I asked her was, "Are you a recovering Christian?" Now, that question was very peculiar to me, but I asked her that because that's what I felt. And come to find out, she was a former minister. She was in a place of conflict with God and church and all of that. And that's the first energetic wave that rolled off of her. Now, since then, that's Halloween of 2017. I just crossed 7-year anniversary mark of doing this stuff professionally. Since then, I have hosted hundreds of these gallery reads online, in person, theaters, in town halls. I have done thousands of one-on-one reads. And the reason that I continue to do this is because every time I sit with a person or a group of people, every bit of information that I get comes from a place of wholeness, goodness, and love. Every bit of information that I get from ancestors, beloved spirits, pets, guiding energies, all of that comes from a place of love. Now, that can look like a whole lot of different things because love can look like a whole lot of different things to different people. But every bit of information I get like that comes from a healthy and well-being place. Now, to get started with this, I just want to lay a foundation for folks, and I like to speak in analogies. And those analogies, I try to keep as simple, like my grandmother taught me. So I want everybody to hold on to this. Like I was just talking about, everybody's going to encounter grief and pain and turmoil and trauma in this life. It's unavoidable, just like our ancestors. And just like our ancestors, everybody in this life is going to die. Like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but eventually this life of ours runs out. And while you're alive, to keep it simple, I want you to think of yourself as the marriage of body and spirit. The analogy I use is horse and rider, body and soul. So the body, or your horse, is by scientific definition a mammal. What that means is it needs rest, it needs play, it needs shelter, it needs food, it needs water. And I know that so many people here can relate to the idea of being hangry. And when you're hangry, you're not treating your horse with the care that it deserves. A lot of people don't care for themselves to the degree they should, and then end up paying the price because the body will rebel. The body will send you messages in the form of being hangry and irritable and tired. All sorts of things will come from that. When we die, the rider gets off the horse and keeps going. And that's our eternal part, our soul. And with that being said, just want to make sure people aren't waiting to get in here again. With that being said, where we go when we die, a lot of people do believe in heaven or the afterlife. And one of the perspectives that I've gained by doing this is that heaven is right here. The afterlife is right here. We are not in spirit in a disconnected, detached dimension. We're not above the clouds. We are right here. And the analogy that I use to describe that is a one-way mirror that we see in a cop show. We as humans, being on the horse, we are on the other side of the one-way mirror. We sit on the side of the suspects. Our spirits, our beloved dead, our dearly departed, our ancestors, our guiding energies, all of that sit on the side of the cops where they can see us, they can feel us, they know us. That's an important analogy to keep in mind because if you take that analogy a step further, that means you are your spirit's movie, your TV show. They're watching you, they're observing you, they want the best for you. And you have to ask yourself, are you giving your beloved dead, your dearly departed, a somber, sour melodrama? Or are you giving them an exciting, wonderful, colorful sitcom? I know what I'm doing. I don't know about you, but I know what I'm doing. Now, with that being said, life is tough, and we have to deal with all sorts of things in this world. It was never guaranteed to be easy. And I think that what I've found is that to get through it, to find our strongest self, our wisest self, we have to operate from love, not fear, not hatred, even though those things are going to be unavoidable for us. But what I've found with every single human that I've ever met, when we have to carry a burden for somebody we love, we find the strongest version of ourselves. And when we have to solve a problem for somebody we love, we become the smartest version of ourselves. You will not ever find the strongest or the wisest version of yourself through fear or self-hatred. Not going to happen. It will only happen through love. And that's not a hokey platitude. That is the truth as I've discovered it. Your mileage may vary. Now, when it comes to group readings and one-on-one readings, it's vastly different. You know, you get behind a closed door with me, we're going to talk about all the trauma and the pain that's in your heart. These readings right here are supposed to be uplifting, and that's what I bring to all of them as much as I can. Even though I might be talking about death and disease and trauma and turmoil and all of those things, we have to do our best to look at it from a humorous perspective, at the very least. Some of us are going to be better at that than others. One of the things that I would have you keep in mind is think of any ascended, I hate that word, spiritual masters. Think of like gurus, think of like Gandhi, think of anybody that would be a spiritual sort of master in that way. They're very childlike, and there's a reason for that. So I want to bring that childlike energy to you, and I'll do that with the spirits that everybody has here. I want to let you know what this process is going to look like. So I've had a couple of spirits here with me. And what that means is I've never done a meeting like this with like 50 people. So I don't know how this is going to work. There's some technical steps here as I try to bring everybody together. But I want to talk about the first spirit with me. And what this means is that somebody here has connected to spirit. That means if somebody here feels this, what I'm going to have to do is move my screen, kind of get into the big gallery perspective, and I want to bring that person up and put them in a spotlight so that you and I can the time together. Okay, so what that means is you're going to have to unmute yourself, you're going to have to chat, you're going to have to raise your hand, you're going to have to do something in that way. So let's dive into it. All right. Now, I set the intention to bring joy for today, and this person very much brings me joy. As soon as I feel this man, he brings me joy. And what the very first way he describes himself to me, he looks like the bigger version of Laurel and Hardy. I'm not sure if people remember this, but the bigger version, he's a bigger man. He's showing me suspenders. I'm getting, I think he's an immigrant because I think he's like Italian. I think he's Italian. So bear with me here. I want all the Italian people to kind of like think about this. He's a bigger man. He would have had a jovial spirit. I do think he's an immigrant because there's this love of America. And I'm going to do my best to make this as apolitical as possible. But this spirit here has a love of America. I think he might have been a butcher. I don't know. I think he might have either processed fish or cut fish. There is something about being jovial. He might like I'm getting like a butcher shop. He might have had like a market or a place, a butcher shop where people came in. Um, so here we go. Is this for anybody? Like somebody who would have been like Italian, first generation Italian from Italy to America. He's giving me the accent. Might have worn suspenders or might have just had like a big belly. Very playful, liked doing what he was doing. Like he'd reach over the counter, you know, or what have you, and everybody that came in, he just loved. So I need people to start talking to me about this.
Hi, Josh.
Anybody?
It's Louise. I
Hi,
don't know if you.
Louise. Hold on.
Hi.
So this is so strange. I've never done this before. Okay, so I'm going to scoot through everybody. All right, so I see Louise's iPad. There we go. So Louise, hi.
Hi.
Wave to me if that's you that you're speaking. Okay,
Uh,
perfect. Louise, do you know this person that I'm referring to?
Yeah, my grandfather, my mom's the first generation here from Italy. My grandfather was born in Italy and he was a butcher and very very jovial, very sarcastic. Sense of humor was like ridiculous. And that's
Okay.
so that was the only reason I chimed in. Once you said butcher, I kind of had to say something.
Yeah, and it's like I get like the Italian accent, and I get like him handing stuff over the counter to people.
Yeah.
And did he ever wear suspenders, or was he just a big man?
He was just a big, kind of a big bellied man, but I actually can't see him in suspenders, but he may have. He was that kind of a dresser.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. So I will not. Here's a little bit of my grandmother's French. I don't bullshit anybody. And I'm not going to come to people here today and say that the past week or so, past 2 weeks, or past 8 years have been easy on me. I'm not going to pretend that. I know a lot of people, more so some people than others, have found a lot of turmoil and heartache over the past week and election results and all of that. I am hurting in a different way than most people because I didn't want to go here. So it's very difficult because I'm being prompted by this spirit to go here. Um, I see a lot of hatred. I see a lot of division. And from my perspective, the hatred and division that everybody is doing on all sides of the aisle, the hatred and the division, the moral grandstanding, the virtue signaling, all of that, it just is making things worse because I look over the past 8, 12, 16 years and it's not making things better. I do encourage people to stand up for their values, but I do ask people to question how much their moral grandstanding is further causing the divide that got us into this mess in the first place. I really have a hard time bringing this up to people because I'm not asking people to not sit with their values, but I'm letting you know that this Italian man, he has a love of America. And here is something that I want to remind everybody. I'm an American, I'm a proud American, and I love this country. I have a questionable relationship with my government, and it doesn't matter who's president at the time. But I will say that I am a gay man in northern New England, able to make a living doing the work that I'm doing. And I have to ask people, how many countries would I either be gay or be a psychic medium where I would be beheaded for that? And we have to honor the love of the country that we have. It's problematic, and we have to nurture it along and encourage it to better values and higher truths and principles. But we have to love what we have because this immigrant would have us remind us that there is a whole lot of awful countries in this world where things are bad. So we have to balance that. We have to balance, there's problems in our country, yes, but there are things to love. And that also includes the people that were here. Because this man, as he was a butcher, he and damn it. Like, again, I'm frustrated because I wanted this to be apolitical, like without politics, and that might be almost impossible to do. But I didn't ask I opened this up to everybody. I'm not asking people who they voted for. I'm not asking people who they voted for to open this up to everybody. And there is a heartache that I carry because I see so many people full of hatred and spite and anger. And I have to question how much that does anything. And I think that all those emotions can be useful if they're processed appropriately. But this man would have us remember that, when he was serving people, when he was putting things over the counter to people, he wasn't asking them what their political beliefs were. He was just seeing them heart to heart. He was just seeing them as another human, as another soul. There's a lot that I think that we all have to learn and do. And I think that what we all have to do right now is take into some self-reflection. I am not going to get up on a soapbox. I refuse to do that. But I think that everybody bears some self-reflection right now. Like, I am a person that does self-reflection often. If there's a problem in my life, I'm going to ask, is there anything that I did to contribute to it? My heart hurts for the people of America everywhere, all of them. Now, with that being said, Louise, I want to give you credit for doing the best you could with everything that you were handed. Now, can I ask you, do you see, this is his question, do you see the land that you're in, America, as a land of opportunity?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you've done the best you could with what you were handed, right?
Absolutely. And had
Okay.
more to go on than he did when he came. I mean, he learned Yiddish before he learned English. He sat with his Jewish friends and he made friends that weren't even, he just was open and loving to everybody, much to like what you're saying is how we have to be more. He just wasn't judgmental. So,
Now we have to balance that with like, we have to balance that with there were, I believe, when he was alive, literal Nazis. Do you know what I mean? Like, we do have to have a line in the sand somewhere where there's like people who are going to absolutely hurt other people. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying hate hate doesn't do for people what they think it does, and it actually in most instances makes things worse. So with that being said, I want to let you know, Louise, that you make this Italian butcher grandfather very proud with what you've done with your life. Now, can I ask you, you make this world a better place through your contributions with what you do? What do you do?
so I'm a therapist with people with PTSD mostly.
Okay.
I mean, I do a couple different jobs, but that's the one that's in my heart.
Okay. This is, remember that I'm being prompted here. This is not a Josh thing. Louise, the people that you help that have PTSD, are you denying people services based on their political or religious beliefs?
Never.
Okay, that's something that I think we all need to hear, right?
I
I think
sat
that's
across
something.
from people the day after the election, and each one came to the table with a different way in which the election impacted them really strongly, depending on how they voted. And I had both, and they were both just but it was a lot. People were very burdened the next day, even the winners.
Yeah, yeah, and
The winners.
the divisionary rhetoric and the tactics that are being, I suffer because I see so many people suffering, left, right, center, all of them. So much suffering, and so many people are making things worse without even realizing it. So, here I am trying to do my best with what I've got in a place where there are so many people hurting, and I think that there are some messages that bear emphasizing. I think there are some messages that bear emphasizing, um, especially the love thy neighbor message. I think that's really important. Love your neighbor. Um, don't don't make friends with criminals. you know. So, with that being said, Louise, uh, do you find joy in tidying up? Do you find joy in tidying up, like
So much
taking a
joy.
messy place? Okay. So remember, like every spirit that I've asked to show up today is trying to bring us joy. Now, how many people on this call have uh how many people on this call have cluttered areas, bathroom sinks, clutter in their home, clutter in their bedroom, clutter in their living room? And how much could we find peace or actually joy from having a clear space? And it's interesting because I'm looking across the computer here and I'm looking over at my table, and the table that I have in my studio space is just piled with crap. It's just piled with stuff. So I'm going to take a lesson from your grandfather, and probably as a butcher, he knew how to keep things neat or to keep things clean. But there's something for you to also sit with here, that if you do have spaces in your home or your office that are cluttered, get busy fixing them and bring a sense of order. Now, why would that be a message that comes through? Because I think that so many of us will feel the pain and the struggle of not being able to control the things like we want. We suffer from the things that are outside of our control. There are things outside of our control that will cause us to suffer. And what we should be doing what we should be doing is bringing order to the things that we can put our hands on. And I'm going to encourage everybody that might have some time on a Sunday afternoon to clear up some space, or to sweep their floors or do whatever they do. Take the energy that you have. If you are a person that is full of anger and spite and rage and all of that, clean your goddamn house. Like, take that energy and clean your house. Because one of the things that I know about emotions is that each emotion, I won't label any emotion as bad, or good. An emotion is energy in motion. Emotions are power that we can tap into, and then we can use that. So if you've got a dirty house, dirty office, dirty garage, take the energy that you have and don't let it just sit in you. Do something with it. Use it as fuel to let it help you bring order to the parts of your life that you can actually bring order to. So, Louise, I think that you might actually have a little bit of a project this afternoon.
Okay. I
Okay.
clean this morning
Well,
too, but I'll keep cleaning.
well, do you know what I mean? If you have something to bring to order and you have any of these emotions, and I love that. Catherine Postier says, I'm doing that while this is going. Ha ha ha. She's taking her energy and she's cleaning her house. I love that. All right, all right. That's wonderful. Okay. So take that energy, everybody, and take that and use that. Now, thank you, Louise. Just know that this grandfather of yours is with you. And I'm going to say this to you. Thank you for doing your damnedest to make America a better place.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too.
You got it. Thank
You
you.
know I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Okay. So I'm going to take you off the spotlight here, and now I'm going to bring forth the other spirit. Okay. So this is a funny one. And remember, I'm going to have everybody like unmute themselves, or because I can't see everybody, so I'm going to have somebody speak up. Okay. So the woman that's coming forth, here's an interesting perspective. So this woman that's coming forth wasn't necessarily a people person. So she wasn't necessarily a people person. This is big grandmother vibes. This is somebody who would have isolated themselves. They would have kept themselves. She would have knitted or crocheted like grandma activity. She would have done that. She was very skillful at tuning the noise out. Like tuning the noise out. I do get though that she would have participated in like church bake sales, but she wouldn't have had. She would have been a loving grandmother. She would have been devoted to her family, but she wouldn't have had that big, warm, fuzzy, like atypical, like typical or stereotypical grandma energy. She was either a librarian or a teacher or like to do books or a bookkeeper, somebody like that. I need somebody to start speaking up here because there's a woman who it's fascinating that this message that she has, like she's talking about the joy that she had by shutting the world out. Like she would have shut the world out. She wouldn't have minded people's businesses. She wouldn't have gossiped. She wouldn't have unnecessarily carried a bunch of stress. I'm not really great with geography when I do this, but I'm getting like it feels like the Midwest. I have not spent a lot of time in the Midwest, like Great Lakes area, Midwest. This is a woman who would have loved her family, been religious. I'm getting that she would have participated in church bake sales, activities, things like that. But she wouldn't have been warm and fuzzy. She would have done what she needed to do, but she would have isolated herself away. She just would have just shut the door to the business and the problems that weren't hers. So I need somebody with a grandmother or a great grandmother that was like this. Somebody, this is important. She would not have minded other people's business.
Josh, I think it may be me. I'm not sure. Um, I, that sounds very much like my grandmother. This is Renee. It sounds very much like my grandmother, Mickey. Her name was Alice, but she went by Mickey because her best friend were Mickey and Minnie Mouse. So
Okay, I'm trying to find you here, Renee. All right, but you said that she was a total gossip.
no, 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 not at all, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No, literally, her favorite game in the world was solitaire.
Okay. Hold on. Interesting. So I'm sorry. I was reading somebody's chat. I'm gonna add you to the spotlight, Renee. So thank you for that. Okay. Was she from the Midwest?
um, in part, she lived in the Midwest, but also Alaska,
Gotcha.
California. Like she had lived in a few places, but she had what you might call like a Midwest type of mentality. Like Alaskans
Gotcha.
are very much like that.
Okay.
She worked in the
Did
DMV until she retired.
okay. So I'm seeing like like pencils. So I don't like, she worked at the DMV. I don't know, like what, I
Paperwork.
probably in the DMV working with a pencil versus a pen. Absolutely. Um, so what's fascinating to me is that this woman is talking about rising above the noise, like rising above the noise, like being above the noise, being above everybody, not from like a snobby place or looking down on somebody, but like being isolated, finding joy in being away from like the noise and the clamor and all of that. This is a woman who definitely would not have used social media. Like she would not have used social media. She wouldn't have been social. She wouldn't have been on social media. She wouldn't have had any of that. Now, I do believe Renee that she would have stood up for what she wanted. She would have taken care of her family. She would have done like the things that were necessary in her life where she could have put her hands on. But this woman is talking about the joy of practicality. The joy of practicality, just like do what you can with what you have, put your hands on it. Can you fix it? Can you not? And ignore the rest. This woman would not have
Yeah.
she wouldn't this is really basic, like this is like, I don't know, I hate to say basic, but this is just like, okay, the words that I'm hearing is mind your damn business. So, like mind your damn business, which
Yeah.
interesting. Isn't that what Walsh said is the Midwestern like mind your damn business, like just mind your damn business, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like what's going on in America isn't people's business, but there is a certain amount of energy that you can put to what you can change, and then what you can't change you have to learn to deal with or remove yourself from. This woman was very isolated. Her favorite game was solitaire. She was very isolated. She did not want to like deal with any of that. And there's a reason why she come forth, and there's a reason that we all have to be exposed to that wisdom. Okay, because I think that with access, and we all have to sit with this. I mean, we have the internet, and that's wonderful. And we have access to all of this information. We have news and newspapers and TV and social media, and we are all inundated with so many messages that cause our mental and emotional and physical health to be deteriorated. We really do. We really do. And we have to be skillful with that. So, we have to stay aware. And this is interesting because she's like, I wouldn't have ignored the news. I would have paid attention to what was going on, but I wouldn't have gotten all like worked up over something that I couldn't affect. So I think there's a lot of wisdom that's coming through spirit here of like, the law of practicality. Is there something that bothers you? Yes. Is there something you can do about it? Yes. Is there something you can do about it? If you can't, you got to learn to live with it or do whatever you can to affect change in the ways that align with your values. So the last thing I want to do is get up on a soapbox. That's not what I'm here to do. But I have to honor this woman being isolated and playing solitaire. So, what this means, and I think that there's an important message here for people to know this. If you're not somebody who is, if you're not somebody who is making huge waves in a positive way, and what I mean by that is like, let's say that you're not somebody who is um, like a therapist, like Louise. Louise, works and does what she can to make the hearts and minds of people better. There's plenty of people on this call who might just be, and I hate to say just be, but like a bank teller. Do you know what I mean? Somebody who might work in a bank, they might not have something that is like, I'm a therapist or I'm a doctor or I have all of this. There's so much to be said for people who don't cause turmoil, and the amount of peace that we will make in this world by doing our best to just live peaceful lives. This woman was isolated and peaceful. Like she was isolated and peaceful. So even if she didn't like have this grandiose, I made this monumental change in the world, she didn't detract from the world. She didn't take away from the world. Okay. So can I ask you, Renee, do you have sisters?
I have one.
Okay. So the interesting thing here is this. So I'm going to share this with you. Okay. So she is talking to me about, all right. So this is just plain speak. Okay. Okay. I was hoping your sister's not on this call today. She wants to appreciate you. She wants to appreciate you for not having your head up your ass. I don't know what that means. Okay. So
I do.
you do? Okay. So interesting. Can you see your sister as somebody who is actually making the world a worse place? Okay. So that's what she's talking about here. Like she sees a distinct difference between you and a sister figure where you're doing whatever you can to make the world a better place. But your sister, not. She's not. So you got to remember that. Okay. You got to remember that even though you might not feel like your impact is huge or you're making waves, right? That you're doing the best you can with what you got, but at least you're not like your sister.
No, I know. It's okay. I very much understand what that means, and it's not. I get it.
Okay.
You're right. You're nail on.
Actually, I've got to go further with this. I've got to go further with this. And again, thank you for being here and thank you for doing this with me. Apparently, your sister is an energy vampire. Okay. An energy vampire. So
Yeah.
this is her way of talking about these people in this world. There are people in this world. All right. So from my experience, and it's got to count for something at this point in my life. Almost every and like I don't want to lean into pop psychology. I don't want to start using words like toxic and narcissist, but I got to say, there are people in this world who have narcissistic personality disorder. Pretty much anybody that you could label as a narcissist is always going to be an energy vampire. However, not all energy vampires or people that drain our energy by interacting with them are not necessarily narcissists. I think of the people who play the pity card, like the pity party. Oh, poor me. Oh, poor me. Oh, poor me. Okay. We have to be mindful of the people in this world who are energy vampires, like energy vampires, and we have to be mindful of them. So a lot of the message that we're sharing today is like, love your neighbor, love your neighbor, but be mindful of the neighbor who might actually not have your best interest in mind. Do you know what I mean? Like this is a fine line that we all have to walk. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so Renee, interesting. Whatever's going on between you and your sister, this grandmother of yours says, "Don't you dare apologize." Okay, I don't know what that means, but don't you dare apologize because that would concede and give your energy to her. Okay, give your energy to her. So don't do that. All right, stand on your ground, protect your energy, send her love. You know what I mean? Do whatever. Like peace be with you. That sort of energy,
Yeah.
but keep them out of uh, your life in that way. Okay. And I think that a lot of us can respond to that because, you know, I might be naive thinking that most people do the best they can with what they have. A lot of people don't have a lot, but I think most people aren't trying to hurt other people. But there are people in this world who are trying to hurt other people, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, but we have to be mindful of them. And that brings me to mind. Um, it's funny. I will tell you this. Your grandmother likes me. She's like, tell him, kid, tell him, kid, tell him. It's a funny thing that she's saying. So I have this thing that I call like the rabid dog philosophy, meaning like let's say a dog gets rabies, right, and has to be put down, or unfortunately anything like that. I have so much sympathy for the dog that has rabies, but I'm going to protect me and my family from it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
I
we
do.
can have
Yeah.
sympathy for people that are sick in some ways, but we have to keep ourselves protected from them.
Yeah.
Okay. We have to keep ourselves protected from them. Okay. Now, um, all right. Well, thank you, Renee. I'm going to take you off spotlight because I got another spirit.
I'll
Got
tell you,
another. Well,
she crocheted. You mentioned crocheting and knitting. She crocheted like a machine, and I have two things from her, and she left these for like all the family members. We all have blankets that she crocheted, and a deck of cards that she wore out playing solitaire.
I love it.
Yeah,
So solitaire is like, and I
yeah,
think that's important. If you find joy in solitaire, like being solitary, that's okay. That's okay. Because what is that? That's like that is protecting our energy, right? That's protecting our energy. We're not we gotta keep that in mind. Our energy is finite. We have a certain amount of it to get through the day. So we got to keep that in mind. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. Okay. So the next I'm take you off spotlight here. So the next person that I have is a man, he's a jokester, he's a trickster. He would have had, I think this is somebody's father. He's talking about like hunting camp. I think there's two brothers with him. I get a group of three men. There's one man here who might be like a father. Hunting camp, gone to camp. He might have either chewed gum or tobacco, or might have been a tobacco user. Um, like this is like a real sort of like North Country, like sort of redneck hickey kind of guy. But this would have been pull my finger energy. So I need somebody to think about like dad, grandfather, dad. It feels like dad. Somebody who would have maybe had like two brothers or friends that are also in spirit, like friends that were so close, they were like brothers. They might have gone to hunting camp together. There's this jovial, fun-loving energy from this person. Now, um, okay, so interesting because this person is talking about like going to camp, going away, going to the woods, going away. Like they would have done this every kind of like hunting season. And that piggybacks on Renee's grandmother, where there was the joy of being in solitude. I think that a lot of us have to understand uh, solitude. Okay. So help me out here. I got somebody who's got like a dad that went to hunting camp. You can chat with me, you can talk with me, you can unmute yourself. Anybody got like a dad, maybe grandfather, hunting camp, three people, jovial, pull my finger energy.
That's my dad,
Okay, who's this?
Renee.
Hmm.
I know,
Okay,
but
put a
that's
pin in it, Renee.
him.
Put a pin in it. Put a pin in it. Put a pin in it. Put a pin
Okay.
in it, please. Hold on for me.
Yeah.
Hold on for that for me. I want to give other people an opportunity to like,
Yeah.
because I don't have any control over who comes to me in this way, but I want to give other like I want to give other people an opportunity to speak up if this is anybody for them.
Absolutely.
Okay. Everybody has the opportunity to unmute themselves. So here we go. Renee, we're going to go back to you. I'm going to try to find you here. I'm going to put you back on spotlight because nobody else is grabbing this one. So here we go. Okay. So thank you for being here again. Okay. So three people. Were there three brothers?
There were.
Okay. Did they go like? Did they go away?
They did. He was a huge hunter. He had, moose and caribou up on the wall. And the pull my finger, that was him. That was his humor, is just being joke, just like doing silly jokes, like asking kids to like I'll give you a quarter if you can stand on your tongue, or like, can you kiss your elbow, or like just silly jokes, wearing sunglasses with windshield wipers on them, for the rain. Just very silly. But also he was a huge into hunting, and he passed last August.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So here's why he would be coming forth, and I think that you might be able to relate to this, Renee. He's talking about the joy of nature, like the joy of nature. So this
Yep.
is like every spirit that I have coming forth today is all about joy. Like we have to remember joy, joy, joy. Okay.
Mhm.
So actually, who's the first person that I connected to? Louise, if you're hearing me, you owe me a thing that brings you joy in the chat. Renee, you're gonna have to put into the chat two things that bring you joy because you get this. Anybody else, seriously, anybody else that's here that has access to the chat, you might not be connected, but look at the little family that we're making today. Get into the chat and put in things that give you joy, things that other people can need. Now, this man wants me to tell people about what I call my old man walk. So every morning I go on what I call my old man walk. Now, here's why I do this, because I want to be an old man. And for many years, I was the type of person that would get right up and go to work, like make coffee, open up the laptop. And it drove me crazy. I have experienced burnout several different times. But the thing that I do, good, Louise. Being in the wood brings me joy. Okay, you can't piggyback off of Renee's dad. You're going to have to give me something else. Okay. But what I do is I live in the middle of the woods and I go on my old man walk because I want to be an old man. Now, my ancestors were pretty much farmers, all of them, and we have a lot of farmer ancestors here with us. They are going to have to, like, there's a thing called epigenetics, ancestral memory that's in your blood. I have to get up and move my body early in the morning outside. I don't have farm animals. I have to take my old man walk. And I do this because I know it gives me a chance to touch base with myself, clear my head, touch base with nature. Some of us might not have nature around us. We might literally be living in like suburban neighborhoods or what have you, but get to a park, connect to nature. This is that idea of forest bathing. This man is like, this is interesting because what he's saying to me, Renee, is that he lived as long as he did because he was out in nature as much as he was. So there's a connection to nature that would have increased his longevity. Not sure how long he lived, but if he was like stuck in like a tenement or stuck in like an apartment building in the middle of a city, he wouldn't have had that opportunity to connect to nature. So he's really much all about trying to tell everybody here. And it's funny. Okay, so here's a level of frustration. How many people on this call today have the woods all around them and don't go out into nature? You know what I mean? Have the woods all around them and like don't benefit to the thing that's right outside their house that's free. It's free. Get out into the woods. If you have woods around you, take a 20-minute walk a day. Oh, I love what's coming in for people's joy. I love that. Grounding, ocean, all of that. Megan jewelry, perfect. Okay, so this is great. This is what we got to do. We got to share in those ideas. Now, nature for most of us doesn't cost anything, right? Because we can get out to the park, we can go on a trail, we can walk. So many people are living right in the middle of the medicine that will help them so much. And this is like my religion. My old man walk is my religion because if I miss it, I can feel it. I can feel like if I don't get my walk in nature, I can feel me being on edge more. I can feel that. So recently, I hosted a retreat out in the middle of the woods and it was fantastic. My husband Isaac was there teaching some Qigong courses in this beautiful attic that we had. Now, I benefit from Qigong, absolutely, which is a breathing martial art movement technique. But when that was going on, I needed to go for my walk. So I knew what was better for me. I needed to move my blood. I needed to move my body in that way. I needed to connect to nature. And I think that everybody here needs to hear that. Okay. So Renee, while I've got you with him, he says, thank you for honoring his memory. Are you working on a book or photo album? Are you doing anything with like photos and stuff like that?
I literally just wrote, because you said I owe you two things for joy. I literally wrote down nature photography. Like I just
Nature photography.
like getting like outside, get there, underline. Because I like to do walks, but I haven't done them for a long time. And I like to take a camera and just like go slow and take pictures of things that I notice and talk to, like the things that I notice or let them talk to me more or less. So and building instruments.
No, keep talking, please. Keep talking.
So my father was a master photographer. He built like the home that he lived in, passed in Alaska. And I love to sound is really important to me. It's very healing and vibration, and I'm really interested in building instruments. And I don't mean like traditional. I mean like building instruments out of non-traditional nature things, including like sticks, and reconnecting to my Alaskan childhood and growing up there.
So I want to bring people's attention to something here. If somebody's friends with me on the Facebook, you'll notice at the end of every day, I post a photo and write a little poem. And that's an extension of something that I did in 2021. So 2021, we've all been hurting to varying degrees for a while. 2021, I devoted myself to using social media to add a little bit of beauty to it. Like beauty to the world using social media. So many people being negative and just posting negative stuff and negative and negative and negative. So I devoted myself to writing a poem and posting a photo every day, and I turned it into a book. I love it. I love this book. I love this book so much. So, with this book in mind, what I did is I decided not only to share a little bit of beauty in the world because there wasn't enough of it being shared, but it caused me, like, I devoted myself to that task. So it caused me to like get out into the world and look for the beautiful, like to look for the beautiful. Like even this morning on my old man walk, I saw the leaves, I saw the sun, I saw the frost. I took a picture of the frost and the leaves, all of that. It just brings me joy to get out there. And I'm somebody that deals with a lot of trauma, pain, turmoil, stress, grief, all of that. I need my vitamin joy. I need my vitamin nature, my vitamin beauty, all of that. And so many people don't understand the importance of that and they go without it. So we all, pretty much every single one of us has access to nature. And I'm going to ask everybody to try to commit to a 20-minute walk a day. Because if you start to look at it like this, you know, an hour of your day is 4% of your day. Like you start like clocking hours in your time like that, an hour of your day is 4% of your day. A third of 4% is 1.33. You can take a 20-minute walk for 1.33% of your day. And that is going to be indelible medicine to your wellness. So, Renee, could you get out there for 1.33% of your day and just touch base with nature?
Yes, because I love your math.
You love the math?
I do. Yeah, total geek. Yeah,
Okay. Well, let's put it to this. Let's put it like
I love that.
let's talk about it in this way. Okay. How many people, like you start to track how much time you spend on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, start to track those things. And then look and go like, oh, I spent 3 hours on my day. Like, okay, maybe you got a little bit of something out of that,
Nothing.
but how much would your life be better? How much would you have peace of mind? Now, here's something that yes, Erin, even in winter, especially in winter. So, Erin, I love this. She goes, haha, just kidding. But yes, even in winter, I get out there. I bundle up and I get out there. I used to be a person who did not like winter until I realized that I could not like winter, and that's 8 months of my year almost, and I'm just going to be miserable for 8 months of my year. So I had to turn that into something different. I had to like change that relationship. Now, here is something that I need everybody to take into perspective, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but you know what? I'm going to say it anyways. Okay, that grandmother that I was talking about, the one that I got the chance to know. Okay, so my mom's mom, she suffered immensely in this world. So she lost her mother at 5 years old, was raised in the beer gardens with her father. She had to bury that father, she had to bury her husband, and she had to bury two sons, and she lived 87 long, hard years. Remember that one-way mirror, our spirits watching us? Okay, if we want our spirits to rest in peace, we have to live in peace. And I would do anything in my power to make sure my grandmother was at peace. I'm not going to be an asshole to her grandson. I'm not going to neglect her grandson. I'm going to take care of her grandson. That's important. And I'm not asking anybody here to drive their head in the sand and forget the world they live in. I'm not asking anybody here to forget their values. But I want to ask you, like, how much are you really at peace because of the 3 or 4 hours you're spending on social media a day? And if you're in misery because of that, well, think about the people who love you that can pick up on that misery, whether they're alive or in spirit. So, oh man, okay. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Renee, because I got somebody else knocking on my door. All right. So I'm going to take the spotlight off of you. And I swear to God, if this next one is for you, I'm just going to ask you to leave the session. Okay. Like, all right. But I don't think this next one's for you. So here we go. Okay. All right. So I want to talk to you about the next person that's coming through because I thought it was like a domino he was showing me, and it's not a domino. It looks like a priest collar, but it's not a priest collar. Well, it is sort of like a priest collar. This man gives me this very holy sense, like he would have been a religious man. He might have been somebody that was like sort of important in the church, but I don't get that he was like a priest. I don't get that. I don't know. And again, because I don't have much familiarity with church, um, I don't have much familiarity with church and the structure and the titles and the positions and all of that. This man feels like he might be like somebody's uncle. Like I keep going up and over. There's and he might not have been like actually in the church, but he would have been somebody who would have like been very spiritual, been very Christian. He would have had a holy sort of like sacred way about him. But what I'm getting to is also like he got his hands dirty. He was like salt of the earth. He was like hands dirty. Now, what I get from this person is I get the sense of like a single like maybe daughter or niece and then two like brothers or what have you that are here in this world. I get the sense that he's like looking over a woman and like maybe two brothers. So I need people here to start thinking about relatives or like ancestors, maybe father-in-laws, friends, somebody who would have been like um in like spirituality, but not from like a judgy way, not from like a oh, you're gay, you're going to hell way, but like love thy neighbor sort of way. Um, Anybody here have like a vicar or like a minister or anybody here have anybody like that?
Possibly
All right,
me.
I'm searching through everybody here. Deacon or elder? Okay, Renee. Renee. Okay. Deacon might be like a vicar. I don't know what those things are, but this is a very like this is kind of like a holy person. This is like somebody who was in church. They were like a holy person. A little bit of playful energy too. Maybe you, Kayla. Okay, because I don't believe it's for Renee. Thank you for contributing that, Renee, but I don't think it's you because Spirit's not going to do that to me. They're not going to get everybody here. Just like have me be with one person like this. Kayla, and you said maybe you. Okay. So Kayla, I'm getting a big like a big thumbs up feeling from being like from seeing your name. So Kayla, can I ask you to unmute yourself? I'm just going through
Yeah.
everybody. Oh, thank you, Renee. Thank you. Just giving titles. Thank you. Thank you for those titles. Okay. So um Kayla, I'd almost bet this is for you. Okay, hold on. I'd almost bet this is for you. I'm going to put you in the spotlight. So give me a moment here. Okay. So Kayla, let's go with like salt of the earth, like working with hands, okay? Like kind of like holy, playful, like would have maybe had family.
Mhm.
Do you got somebody like that?
It was my uh grandpa-in-law.
Okay, hold on. Sue's iPhone. Sue says, Mom's cousin was a priest. I have two brothers. So hold on, Kayla. We're gonna like somebody's in the chat saying Mom's cousin was a priest. I have two brothers. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, Kayla, do you have two brothers?
No, just one.
Just one. Okay, okay, okay. So I've got a Sue's iPhone because you remember how it's like it goes up and then over, like feels like a uncle or maybe
Mhm.
even like a cousin. Mom's
Right.
cousin was a priest. Okay. So hold on. I'm gonna keep you on spotlight, Kayla, because I'm gonna figure out between the two of you who this is. And Sue's iPhone. Where are you, Sue? Yeah, damn it. Here we go. Got a priest on the line, and I'm saying, God damn it. Here.
He would have
This is
chuckled.
funny. You would have chuckled? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
chuckling. All right. I don't I don't see Sue's iPhone here.
I'm
Um,
with the sunrise behind me.
you're with the sunrise behind you. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
scrolling. I don't really love how Zoom is set up like this. Thank you, everybody, for your patience as we go through here. Ah, there we go, Sue. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to add you to the spotlight. All right. So, Sue, thank you for this. Did this man, did he work? Like, did he like do things with his hands outside of being a priest?
Oh, he absolutely had to. He became a priest after going to the Vietnamese War and serving there, and that's what he saw made him become a priest. He became inspired. But he
Okay.
grew up on a farm. His father was a trapper and a guide, in Vermont. So he grew up definitely working the land. As he aged, he probably wasn't as into it, but very
Gotcha.
quiet, unassuming, non-judgmental, very interesting person.
So, Kayla, being that Sue, you said that you have two brothers. Remember how I said there's like one daughter and two brothers? All right, Kayla, I believe this is for Sue, okay? But I want you to pay attention to like all the things that I'm saying. So I'm going to take you off spotlight, Kayla. So thank you for giving me that. And I might swing back around to you with the next person. I don't know. So here we go. All right.
Mm.
So, Sue, did you know this man? You must have known this man. You must have
Yeah.
known this man.
Cousin
Now
Edward.
here
Yep.
as a what?
Cousin Edward.
Cousin Edward. Okay. So
Yeah.
here's the thing that I want to ask you, and this is like super important. And we're gonna have to make this distinction when it comes, and I'm a gay man and I grew up within this world, so we have to make this distinction. There are religious people that live by the word of Jesus, and then there are religious people who live with hatred. So there are people that they don't want to love their neighbor. They want to judge and point their fingers at and all of that. I want to ask you, Sue, this man, he gives me the like, I would have loved anybody. I would have loved anybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like if he was like a bigot or like anything like that, this wouldn't have been the man. This man is like, I wanted to love anybody. All right. So here's something that I want to talk to everybody about, and this is really important. So I'm not here to offend anybody's religious or spiritual sensibilities, but I might ask to challenge them a little bit. I think it's important for all of us to develop. He's like giving me the big thumbs up about what I'm about to say. Okay, pushing me on this. It's important for everybody to consider building what I would call the personal myth. Personal myth. Now, the personal myth is this. Now, there's all sorts of religions and spiritualities in this world. And I'm a personal believer, whether you believe in the Greek gods or you're Wiccan or you're whatever, if it leads you to love and grace and compassion as well as wisdom, then walk that path. Now, this man would be here with me because he would want people to know that there is joy in spirituality. There's joy in spirituality. There's inherent joy. And like what I do you know, like, and this is a funny thing, like I recently done like these big shows where I got out in front of like 100 people and I do this, like I'm like I got people talking to me and like all of that. There would be a sense of fear or trepidation for a lot of people who would do this, but when I'm about to walk out on stage in front of people, I get this sense of excitement like it's Christmas morning. Like I am just lit up. I love doing what I do and I find so much joy in it. Now, spirituality can be all sorts of different things to different people. It really can, but it is touching base with the unseen. And I get it. Here we go. Why do you think we would go from the nature person to the priest? Right? Because there would be that connection to spirituality. You know, if we're in this world and everything in this world is an extension of spirit, you walk outside into nature, you're literally walking around in spirit. So, hold on. But apparently you can find spirituality in the bowling alley. I don't know if this guy bowled or not. Like, I don't know what this is, Sue. I don't know if there's anybody here that did bowling, but like, you know, like I'm getting like spirituality can be found in the bowling alley. You go bowling with people, you can find spirituality in the bowling alley.
Well, you're
Okay.
gonna laugh, but cousin Edward loved my husband, and my husband ran a bowling alley in St. Johnsbury for quite a while.
Okay, so there we are. That's why he would bring that attention to me. Like you can go out in the woods, absolutely. But I think, you know, bowling is joyful, you know, and
Oh yeah.
like for people that like it and that can do it well, you go and you like check out. You're bowling, you're doing that. And so many people are so entrenched in their misery when they don't have to be.
Mhm.
They don't have to be. You know, some people might think that they have to carry the burden of all their miseries forever to make it easier, but it doesn't. In fact, if you check away, if you step out step away, check out from your misery and your pain, you might actually be stronger when you check back in to carry it. And that's the point of that vitamin joy, being able to separate yourself, because the world, as much as the misery, that we might all individually and collectively carry, we don't have to carry it every moment of every day. We can step away from it, find some joy, and then be stronger when we're required to carry it. So, interesting, Sue. So I look at you and I get like, I'm being told about like lower back, spine, stuff like that, like to care for like your spine and your back. Can I ask you, do you have it's you ever see the inchworm, like the
Right.
dance that people
Yep.
do on the floor, the inchworm or whatever it's called?
Yep.
I'm getting that sort of message for you. Do you have back issues?
Yeah, I do. Lower back issues.
Lower
I
back
have,
issues, okay.
yeah, I have two compression fractures in my lower back that are
Okay. Like
healed. But yeah.
so they must cause you issues, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Ah, yoga. Oh, yoga. There we go. A little bit of yoga. A little bit of yoga. Don't hurt yourself, please. Don't hurt yourself. But yoga is a
Okay.
very spiritual practice that balances the body and the spirit together. I'm a big fan of yoga, so I want you to
Yeah.
consider um doing something to stretch that body out. Move that
Mhm.
body in a way that fits your particular conditions. Okay.
Indeed.
Um, you're very skillful, apparently, at telling your husband how much you love him.
Oh yeah. I sure hope so.
Okay. Well, the only reason I would know that is because now I have to ask you to do this. Uh, no pressure. Find interesting and creative ways to express your love in ways that you haven't.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know, instead of just saying, "Hi, honey, I love you," that sort of thing. Like that's a message. And I think that you're very like devoted to sending those messages to your husband. But then there's this like, can you get a little playful? Can you get a little creative? Oh, I know why. Hold on, hold on, hold on. It's about what I receive, and you take this for what it's worth. Your husband is entrenched in his own form of misery. He's entrenched in his own form of misery. Like he's got his like, I feel like his like head's in the sand or his blinders are on. I'm kind of getting like this. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do whatever you can to like be creative with him and like surprise him and maybe pull pranks on him. You know what I mean? Do like tricks
Mm-hmm.
and have fun. And, you know, when is the last time that do you guys have separate vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. When's the last time you wrote a note to him, put it in his vehicle before he got into it? And so when he opens the door and he gets into it, and he opens up a note, "Hey, honey, I love you. Have a great day." Do you know what I mean? Or you write a
Yeah.
joke on it or something,
Yeah.
something like that. That's the message that I'm getting. Okay. Why? Because we will find a lot of joy in expressing our love for other people.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yet there's this message of being creative and playful and fun and all of that. Like can I ask you, is your husband a fan of like dad jokes?
No, I'm the dad joke fan. He's more trenchant.
Okay, so do you know what I mean? I'm like I'm seeing a slip of
Yes.
paper with like just a joke on it, like
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he opens up the door like, oh, the groan or whatever to the dad jokes, and then like love you honey, ha 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 ha, little tokens of
He'd
affection.
like that.
That's going to give you joy, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to give him joy.
Mm.
So we have these opportunities to be joyful with people. Okay, so like super important, super important. So thank you for this. Thank you for this. Okay, so
Thank
with
you.
that being said, I'm getting somebody knocking on my door again. Another one. Here we go. Here we go. Another one. Okay. This is another man. Um, I don't think this is for you, Sue, but I'm not going to take you off spotlight until like I understand it's for somebody else. So remember, everybody, like listen to what I'm about to say. This feels like somebody's brother who's in spirit. I think his sister is here, and I think that there is definite like sibling rivalry going on, like sibling rivalry. Okay, so Sue, I'm going to take you off spotlight so you can go back up with everybody else on my screen. But sibling rivalry, he like I keep seeing the image of like a barn silo with a ladder. So for people that aren't really familiar with like how mediumship works, or in particularly my way, I have symbols. So like I keep seeing a ladder, which can sometimes mean a fireman, or there sometimes a carpenter going up onto a roof. But I see like a barn silo with a ladder. So this might be like a farmer. Um, the reason why he's coming in is because there's a certain level of pranking that I think you would have done as a child to his sister. I think you would have had like separate bedrooms, and I think there would have been like uh I'm hearing traps set or like booby traps or things set. There was something about like not ever being malicious, but being playful and trickstery. So I just want to ask anybody here who's got like a brother in spirit that would want to like be playful with his sister. So Miel, hold on. So Miel, thank you for that. I'm gonna put you on spotlight here. Okay.
It could be
Hello.
me, but it could also not be me.
Okay. Hold on. So we're gonna
And
go through the symbols. Okay. Barn
sure,
silo,
no, but ladder.
but ladders. Okay, what does the ladder mean?
So if it is me, and it may not be based on some of the other descriptors you're offering, my older brother and my older sister are both in spirit, born on the same day, 2 years apart, big rivalry between them. And there's an incident when they were kids involving a toy fire truck with an extended ladder that
Okay.
definitely reshaped their connection moving
Okay.
forward.
Yeah, this is for you then. Okay, ladder, playful brother, rivalry, brother, sister, like traps set. Do you know what I mean? Childhood stuff, that sort of thing.
Yes,
Okay.
constantly at each other.
Yes. But they didn't hate each other, did they?
I wouldn't say hate, just that sibling rivalry thing, like vying for attention. How come you're the prize child kind of thing. So I'm gonna mess your toys, or I'm gonna, you know, cause a problem, that kind of thing.
Okay, hold on. I think this might be for you. So I'm gonna just tell you what I get from him. Um, so I don't know you well, Miel, so I'm gonna like let you know what this man is saying. He wants to thank you for leaving your imprinting behind. Like your imprinting, like the things that you would have been like childhood imprinting like parent, like what the parents would have taught, like imprinting. Like, are you removed from your heritage? Are you removed from your people? Have you like moved away? There's something about thank you for removing yourself from those values or the imprinting. I don't know what this is, but thank you for like reinventing yourself, not being like the people you came from, the
Yeah,
imprinting, like
yes,
imprinting.
yes.
Okay.
So I would say for me, in this generation, I've worked really hard to forgive ancestral trespasses, if you want to call them that, um, by understanding, we all have our story. We all do the best we can in the time that we have, and not to carry what somebody else didn't know in their lifetime that got passed forward for me to bring along now. So as far as like releasing, breaking, decording, whatever phrase you want to call that, of past patterns.
Yes. Thank you for like
Yeah,
rejecting your imprinting. So you're making the best you can of yourself.
yeah,
So
yeah.
interestingly, remember all the messages that I have for you come from love. Okay. This is
Sure.
what he's saying to me. This is what he's saying to me. You take yourself way too seriously.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
take yourself way too seriously.
yeah.
So what's fascinating to me is that you would never want other people to take themselves way too seriously. So there's like, do you know what I mean? Like and I say this with love. He's like, no, tell her, she needs to hear this. You're a hypocrite in this way. You're a hypocrite in this way.
Yeah.
You're clenched up, you're very serious, but you want other people to be, he says, I'm hearing perfectionist, like there's a level of
Yes.
perfectionism about you. Okay. But nature's not perfect, right? But nature is perfect, you know, that sort of thing. But there's like a playful energy. Shit. He's
I'm sure he said something.
well, no. Like he's just saying that you're being inauthentic in your playfulness. He's like, it's like you're being inauthentic in your playfulness. Like you have to be more like yourself. And he also says that there's value in you singing. He wants to hear you sing. There's singing. There's something energetically. And see, look at the look on your face. This isn't
Because
about
I'm
other
tone
people.
deaf.
No.
Tone deaf.
No, I get it. But this isn't like singing with other people or singing in a bar, or singing on an album or in a band. This is like the spiritual, well, like when you sing songs that give you goosebumps. You know what I mean? It's the practice of singing. There is something on the inside of you, Miel, that he says you need to be popped like a zit. You need to be popped like a zit, like energetically. Like you got to get it
Not
up
like
out
a
of you.
bottle of champagne, but like a zit.
Well, you know, a zit has nasty stuff in it, right? And like when we
Right.
sing in that way, when we get goosebumps from singing, he says, sing. Like it's not for other people, it's for you. It's like when you sing from goosebumps, it's going to give you that energy. Okay. Now he's bringing my attention to your feet. Okay. Your feet. And I'm seeing like foot rubs, massages, reflexology. So there's something about like stuff with your feet. I don't know if your feet bother you or you're going to benefit from
All the time.
reflexology. They do bother you?
All the time.
Okay. Do you know a reflexologist?
I don't.
Okay, you
But
might
I
want to
can find
Google like
one.
yeah. There's something
Yeah.
about like getting foot massages because it's
Okay.
interesting because you've got a heart of gold. This is like what the man is saying. He goes, oh shit. Okay, so we go from the priest to this person, and now here's another message about this. Um, you know, you're a person who's really got like the Christian values of love thy neighbor. You know, love thy neighbor. They're doing the best they can with what they have. You're not giving that to you. You're not giving that to you. You like you give it to everybody else, but you're not giving it to you. So let's talk about the golden rule for a moment. The golden rule is do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you, right? A pretty good rule. But the other part of the golden rule is do unto ourselves as we would want other people to do unto themselves. So if you had people in your life who had foot problems to the degree that you do, you'd want them to go see a reflexologist or, you know, go get the foot massage or go do the things. You know what I mean? And I mean, look at your purple hair, girl. You are playful. But it's interesting that there's a performative aspect to it. There's like a shell almost that you keep up. And, you know, again, it's a defensive mechanism, I think, probably because of the imprinting, you know what I mean? Like a defense
Yeah.
mechanism. But there's something about let's see more of your authentic self. What's on the inside, right? The gooiness is on the inside. So let that be. You share, hold on. I have no control over what they have to say, but you share from a place of like leading, where like you're in front of people pulling them up. He wants you to get like side by side and walk people instead of like leading. He wants you side by side with people. He goes, you got heart of gold. You're sitting on a gold mine, gold nuggets, gold. But people, because when you're leading, people only see the back of your head. They don't see your face. So they're not seeing all of that. So it's like, how can we get in between here? Okay, so Renee says singing when tone deaf, hearing loss, or being deaf is not about sound pleasing others. It is about the vibrations your body needs, made using your vocal cords, your bodily instrument to create vibrations that heal. Yes, thank you, Renee. All right, perfect. So there's that energy of like goosebumps. You know, like, are you a person that likes Amazing Grace?
Yeah,
Do you like that song, Amazing Grace?
I do.
Okay, so like if you were to sing that, like listen to it and sing it by yourself and let the goosebumps and the feelings, that's like the spiritual equivalent of taking a poop. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Like, get it up
Yeah.
out of you, get it up out of you. The other thing too is interesting, and this is important because you find a lot of joy from helping people. You find a lot of joy from helping people, guiding people, sharing yourself with people. And that's like part of your soul code. What I'm also getting is that you need salt water. Now, let me talk to you about from like a vibrational aspect of like salt water. So that could be number one, ocean. But here's the thing, Miel, about you. Do you work with people to the point where you are dealing with secondary trauma? Do you know what secondary trauma is?
I would say I do. I would say
Okay, well,
to answer your first question, I would say I work with people with secondary trauma. Yes. And then the
okay.
second
So you might be
question,
getting tertiary. Well, you might be getting tertiary trauma. You know what I mean? Like where anybody who works like Louise at the very beginning, where she works with people who have PTSD or trauma, Louise, just by doing what she does, is going to get secondary trauma on top of her. Do you know what I mean? Like she's going to be
yes,
carrying people's trauma. And
like
this
you
is
know what I
something,
do for a day job, so you know I absolutely have that.
okay. So, like, remind me, you're a dentist, right?
Yes.
Okay. I would associate that with like physical trauma,
You
but there's a lot of
have
mental and
There's a
emotional.
lot of emotional and mental because you have folks who had trauma at different points in their lives that they haven't been able to sort. So they come in carrying that with them, with expectations associated with that. And it adds an extra layer to the actual mechanical work to be done. So there's a whole component about the care that goes on in a visit that has nothing to do with the mechanics of the visit that's about grounding and psychological rebalance for that person just to get through their time with me. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Okay. It does make
Yeah.
sense. So there's like this process of almost like de-escalation, right?
Yeah.
Almost, or
A
I don't
lot
know
of
if that's
talking
the
off the
word.
ledge.
It's
Yeah.
all a lot of talking off the ledge. Okay, interesting. So when I get that impression of salt water, and I'm going to tell you like why this works the way it does with me in terms of that. Whenever I get the push to tell a person to take like a salt bath, so let me just talk about the mechanics of that. So you're familiar with the idea of like saging and smudging to clear negative
Yes.
space and energy and all of that. Okay. So Isaac, when he does house clearings or like energetic resets in spaces, he will use a little bit of incense, but he doesn't use sage or smudge. What he leans into is salt water, not Epsom salt, but like Celtic sea salt water. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's a lot to be said about washing down the walls with salt water. But what I do, because of the nature of what I do, is every once in a while, I will take, well, a salt shower. I can't fit in my bathtub. Do you know what I mean? But I will take a big pot of salt water in, like, say a little prayer over it, salt water. And when you cover your body with salt water, what that does is that, if you look at the secondary trauma as like emotional miasma, all right. So what you're doing is you're like picking up other people's energy. That's the science of empathy, right? You're pulling things off other people and you're carrying them. Salt water is a very efficient way of sloughing that stuff off your body, out of your auric field or your energetic body. Really, really important. So, um, a lot of what today has been for you is like that expulsion of the energy. So this is interesting. Like you help people, you carry stuff off of them, you pull stuff off of them, doing all of that. But I think for anybody that's in that position, they have to think about where is that going? Because you're not an island. If you're moving that stuff onto you, there's a salt soap out there too. Thank you for that, Pamela. Salt soap would work well too. Salt, absolutely, moving like stuff off of your body. And that's, I mean, what I'm getting in my mind is that if you are a cashier at the grocery store and you're dealing with negative energy after negative energy after negative energy, you're even getting some negative energy off of people. So that would be a good idea to take that salt bath. This is why I think a lot of people will feel very good with like walking along the ocean. Because if you're walking along the ocean, you're literally walking in salt spray, and that salt is just cleansing that auric field that you're walking around with.
I used to actually once a month, I haven't done it for a very long time, but soak my feet in salt bath, like salt water. my feet specifically. Haven't done it
Okay.
for a while. So it's interesting. There's salt, there's detox, there's reground, there's get your feet worked
Yep.
on. It's sort of the message that I hear you saying that comes through is you need a detox.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. And you are so not like the people that you're from. This is what this brother of yours is saying. Like, you're like pointed in the opposite direction. Now, what that means is that you're going to be doing the work that you do until you take your last breath. Like, you'd be on your deathbed and, you'd have the nurse come up to you and you'd somehow try to put a smile on the nurse's face. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always that sort of like, you'd be doing that. So you're going to be doing this, what it is that you're doing in some form or fashion for the rest of your days. And it's super important that you figure out a way to move that stuff off of you. You know what I mean? And the word that I'm getting is maintenance. What is your spiritual maintenance? And can you find joy in that? You're a horse person, so you're going to get joy out of the horses, but it goes to a deeper level than that. It goes to a deeper level of that, because there is an actual science to other people's energy in our auric field. And if you're a giver, like a helper, there's that, you can pull it off of other people and you can get some of their shit on you. Super important. Super, super important. Okay. Well, this is fascinating. So when we move to spirit, we kind of go through the washing machine. And what I mean by that is, like, we go through a life review, we look at all the stuff that we did, that we didn't do. This brother of yours is saying that there is joy in that process.
Joy say it one more time.
He's joy in that process. There's the process of like going through like there's joy in going through the spiritual cleansing of being absolved of the awful things that you didn't mean to do. That's a fascinating thing for him to say. So he might not have been the best person while he was here. So there's like that like release or that learning and that healing that goes through that part of our soul's journey. So the more we do that here, the better off that we're here. But like, everybody gets that when we pass. We go through the life review, we go through the washing machine, we learn, we heal, we go through all of that, and then we go on to whatever's next. But thank you for speaking your truth, and thank you for standing in direct opposition to your imprinting. And you find by doing that, you get a lot of joy in your life and you bring joy to others. So there's a lot to be said for honoring all the role models in our life. Like, we will have role models that will show us how to be, and then we'll have role models that will show us how to not be.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Absolutely.
right.
Thank you so much.
So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Okay, because I got another one coming through. Here we go. Okay. So I believe it's a dad. A lot of men. I have no control over this. He's showing me like a tree house. I believe this man would have been a carpenter. I'm seeing the saw. I'm smelling the sawdust. He either built the tree house or he was a carpenter. He was liking what I was talking about the ocean. So either you guys lived on the ocean or you went to the ocean. Or lakes or ponds, water. I need somebody here who would have perhaps had a treehouse or like a shed or something out back, like a playhouse. Anybody here have a treehouse as a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm hearing the voice. Okay, this would have been like a dad who would have been like a carpenter or what have you. So Jennifer Schmidt, hi. Is that you,
Hi,
Jennifer?
I am. I'm here with
Okay.
my partner, Tanya. It's actually Tanya's dad, who we just lost a month ago.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to bring you up to the spotlight. Hi, Tanya.
Hello.
Come on in.
Hi. Okay. So question, was he also like, did he do it like as a trade? Is that what he did?
No.
No, but he could do it.
Hmm. He
Okay,
did
because
build a huge treehouse in our backyard with like a
Okay.
wraparound porch.
Okay, big treehouse. Okay. Interesting. So what I'm getting is like a dry wit out of this person. like a dry wit. And the reason that I say that is because there would have been like this you know, I was talking about like pull my finger energy, like with Renee's grandfather earlier. Like I don't get as boisterous and outgoing as that sort of energy, but I get like I'm gonna say what I need to say. But it's gonna be like a sleeper, like a dry wit, almost like you wouldn't expect this guy to say the things that he would say.
Okay.
Okay. Is there water near you? Is there a pond or a lake, or do you guys go to the ocean?
Mm-mm.
Okay, hold on. Can I ask you, can you relate to what I was talking to about Miel with the secondary trauma?
No. Not really.
With me.
You don't carry anybody's
Yeah.
weight?
Well, yeah, I would say my partner, sure.
Okay. Jennifer, can I ask you, were you like a second daughter to him?
Yes.
Okay, so so this isn't necessarily blood, you know what I mean? But like the treehouse, but he really likes the saltwater message. Okay, the saltwater message. Okay. Interesting, Tanya, I have to say this, and I don't know if this means that she's here or in spirit, but I'm getting the message that he's with your mother. Okay. Now, is your mom in spirit as well? So, interestingly, that means that he would be with her in spirit, like here, he would be with her. Okay. So, for everybody to know, when I say that they're with us and they're active with us, the clunky analogy of how spirit operates is they're like antivirus programs. If you have an antivirus program on your computer and your computer's at peace and there's nothing there, then the program doesn't activate or do anything. But if you have stress or turmoil or trauma in a life, the spirit will be with us. They're active in our field and all of that. So if he says that he's with your mom, there must be a degree of suffering that your mother's going through. Okay, so he's going to be with her. He's going to be with her. Okay. I just smelled bacon and maple syrup. Bacon, maple syrup. Bacon, maple syrup. Was he a bacon guy, maple syrup guy? Was there like breakfast going on? Is there anything like this? Can you cook breakfast for your mom?
Hmm.
This guy's all about the bacon and maple syrup.
I don't know. She does a lot of the cooking, so yeah.
Did he like that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, who doesn't like bacon, right? Like, well, maybe vegetarians, but like bacon, maple syrup. I'm smelling like the bacon, maple syrup. Okay. Tanya, may I ask you, do you have a sister?
No, I do not.
Jennifer, do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Then I need you to think of best friends that might be like a sister. Do either of you have sisters? Let's put it in air quotes. Sisters?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely, both of us.
Okay. So here's something. I don't know which one this is for, but you'll probably figure it out. Tell your sister what she needs to hear because somebody in your life is acting a fool. Okay? Like acting a fool. Somebody who's not taking care of themselves or heading in the wrong direction or doing something like that. It's like watching a car accident, watching something unfold. So if you guys have sisters in your life who are not leading healthy or balanced lives, say what you need to say from a place of love. Do you know what I mean? But say what you need to say because it's better to say the thing and never need to have said it than wish you had said it and hadn't. Does that make sense to y'all?
Yes.
Okay. I just saw a big trunk in the basement, like a big trunk in the basement. So bringing it up out. Okay, so I think when it's ready, if there's any heirlooms or pictures kept in a basement or stored in a basement, bring them up out and go through them. Okay. Can you think, Tanya, of any sort of trunk? Is it a literal trunk, like a cedar chest or a trunk?
I'm sorry, no.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It could be just a tote or a box full of like old memories or photos kept in a basement or something like that. Bring them up out and go through them. Bring them up out and go through them. I just saw really high soccer socks. So can I ask you, Tanya, did you ever play soccer? Softball?
I did. Soccer.
You did?
Yes. Yeah.
Soccer. Okay. There's like pictures of you as a child doing that. Like
I would
there's
bet,
pictures
yes.
of you as a child doing that, and those are the pictures. So understand this for me, please. Like your dad, he's the rider that's off the horse. He's in the afterlife, but the afterlife is right here. So when you know Joy and you're knowing Joy and you're constantly in conversation with him, just not in the middle of the grocery store. Do you know what I mean? Like, like
Yeah.
talk to him. They're around in your truck or SUV or when you're driving. Talk to him because he's going to be right here. And what I have determined is that our ancestors, our beloved dead, they are a big source of our intuition because they will speak to us through our capacity to feel. Like
Mhm.
they'll speak to us, they're a part of our intuition, but it takes about half a second for our rational mind to kick in, translate what we receive. So please pay attention to smells, cigarette smoke, anything like that that you would smell out of nowhere that would be associated with him. That's going to be his first way to say hello. Okay. Jennifer, can I ask you, did he ever talk to you about how much he liked your smile?
Hmm.
Okay, I'm just seeing like
Yeah.
I want to see your smile back. I want to see your teeth.
Yeah.
Like I want to see your smile. Like he's talking about like I want to see your smile.
Uh-huh.
Also, do you have neck issues? Do you have neck issues?
Mm-hmm.
Tanya does. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, if you can handle it and you can find one that's okay, like chiropractor maybe, like
Yeah,
crack. Are you due
yeah,
for a chiropractic trip?
I am. Yep. I
Okay.
was going to one and then I stopped. So the plan is to go back.
Okay, so like one of the things that everybody you should take away from this is that like if there's any degree of suffering in your life, they're going to know about it. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual suffering on any degree. And when we minimize our suffering, we minimize theirs. But this is true for the both of you. Because if Jennifer minimizes her suffering, it minimizes Tanya's suffering, right? When Tanya minimizes her suffering, it minimizes Jennifer's suffering, right? I mean, that's the nature of love. So, very, very important for you to remember that. Okay. Don't,
Yeah.
I think this is more for you, Tanya, than it is for Jennifer, but don't pull your John Wayne bullshit. Okay. Don't be like the tough sufferer, the like noble sufferer, the rugged individual. Like, I don't need that. I can toughen my way through it. I can struggle through it. That doesn't work out for anybody. Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't work
Yeah.
out for anybody. Okay. Hold on. I don't know what this means, but I'm just going to deliver it to you. He is telling me that there is a grandmother incredibly proud of your accomplishments. Like you need to
Okay.
know that there's a grandmother. There would have been at least one grandmother that you would like a heart-to-heart connection with.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure she would have been alive to see like your accomplishments, like the things that you've done with yourself and all of that. But he's
Okay.
passing this message through from her that she's proud of your accomplishments. There's also
Yeah.
this element to that message of like it being a thankless job. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm doing the hard work, I'm doing the good thing, I'm doing whatever it is, and nobody's seeing it, nobody's giving me the acknowledgement, nobody's paying attention to me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants you to know it's interesting because she's not coming up. He's kind of connected to me, but she's there with him.
Okay.
There's that grandmother who's very proud of you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
The next thing too is can you did you ever go fishing?
I'm not much of a fisherman.
Is that you, Jennifer? Did you ever go fishing?
Yeah.
Okay. Like he wants either of you, maybe both of you, to go fishing again. Okay. Like,
Okay.
now, Jennifer, are you the person that can like clean and gut and dehead and all of that?
Yes.
Okay, because I can't. So good for
I mean,
you.
I don't like to. I like to just set them free, but I
Okay.
could.
Okay. So whatever brings you joy, right? Connecting.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about nature, all of that, maybe fishing, all of it. Apparently, Jennifer, do this for me because whatever Tanya's going through,
Yeah.
like I'm hearing like all of a sudden, it's interesting. I know that she's not a stock broker, but you know how like being on Wall Street, there's noise and noise and noise and noise and everything's
Yep.
going around, right? Okay. whatever Tanya's got going on is too much like static, too much noise, too much rah, rah, noise. You got to bring her to a place of stillness. And even if it's just, okay, hold on. Tanya's not somebody to go sit on the fucking side of the brook and just sit there. She's got to be doing something, right? Like she's got to be doing something. There's not like, I'm just going to sit near the brook and peace out. She needs to be doing something. So that's why the fishing is important, because you're going to get her out into nature. You're going to get her forest bathing, but she's also going to feel like she's accomplishing something with her time. She's doing something with herself. So that's super, super important. And also, Jennifer, man, I don't know. All of a sudden, I wanted to grab Tanya by the head and give her a noogie, like a noogie, because there's something, and please know that this comes from a place of love. There's something obstinate about Tanya, like obstinate, like she doesn't do the thing that needs to be done. That's obstinate. I'm getting either a tooth or a TMJ, like something like with jaw or something like this. If you have anything like that, Tanya, please go get that worked on. Okay. Don't be obstinate. Like,
It's very stubborn.
Very stubborn.
I get it. Also, please feed yourself. Like feed yourself. Like make sure that you don't get hangry. I'm surprised Jennifer doesn't follow you around with a picnic basket full of Snickers bars. Oh my God. Oh my God. Please just feed yourself, okay? Like manage the horse. Manage the horse, manage the body. This is your holy vessel. Take care of it. Because are you tired of the cycle, Tanya? Oh my gosh, are you tired of the cycle of like getting cranky, getting apologetic, getting cranky, getting apologetic,
Yes.
getting cranky, getting apologetic? Okay, enough of that shit. Like, let's not do that here, okay? Because if there was somebody that you love that was stuck in that cycle of being cranky and then apologetic, you'd say, God damn it, eat a banana, eat something, do something with your blood sugar to like bring it to a place of balance, right? Okay. Can I ask you guys, are you New England people?
I am, yeah.
New England is, okay. So I guess I'm kind of like, this is deep and kind of painful to say to you, Tanya, but I have to say it to you. You're not a failure. Like you're not a failure. And the reason why I would say that is because it feels like in compensation to not enough of the positive affirmation. And that's why I asked you if you're New England people. Like I was raised by people who held me to high standards. If I didn't achieve those standards, I heard about it. If I met those standards or excelled, I didn't get celebrated. So then there's that like people pleasing and like, oh, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Maybe I'm a failure. I'm not getting celebrated, all of that. You didn't get enough positive affirmation. And that's really important to talk about today. Just knowing that you're not a failure. So the question that I have for you, Tanya, is this. If you had a daughter who was born into your life, been through everything that you've been through, turned her life into what you turned it into, would you be proud of her?
Absolutely.
Okay. Whatever kind of horse shit you're holding on to about being a failure, please let it go. Okay.
Okay.
Please let it go, because there's like, and here's the other thing about your father. If you were somebody who needed to clean up your act, he would absolutely be talking about that. Like he would absolutely be talking about that. Okay. So you just celebrating you and going, be kinder on yourself, be kinder with yourself. Okay. Do you have a brother? Tanya, can I ask you, do you have a brother?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Are you estranged?
No, we're very close.
You're very close. Okay. Maybe right now you need to spend more time together. Do you know what I mean? Like, or is there a distance between you, like a physical distance? Okay. This is very much like get with him. All right. And I just heard Saturday morning cartoons. You guys need to do something that's like joyful. Okay. Like, and this is important because if you're dealing with grief and you're dealing with loss, as you are right now, you've lost your dad a month ago. There's something to be said about the vitamin joy and the necessity to, like when you're sick, you take more vitamins, right? So if you're sick right now of the heart, you got to take more vitamin joy, which is like interesting. Are you anywhere near like do you know where Laconia, New Hampshire is? Weirs Beach? Do you know where that is?
Yes.
Okay. There's a place there called Fun Spot. Have you ever heard of Fun Spot?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, again, I mean, you could be in Maine, you could be in Massachusetts. I don't know how you guys are, right? So, you and your brother need to go to Fun Spot. Okay.
Okay.
Like literally as soon as possible, go to Fun Spot.
Okay.
Go play the video games, go do the skee ball, do whatever you can, go have some joy, because you got to remember that analogy of you guys being like your dad's movie. Do you know what I mean? Like if he's watching you all the time, what kind of movie are you giving him? That's
Okay.
so important. Um, now he wants to embarrass you. That's so funny. Because he wants to get like real hokey with you, like real like corny with you, and he's just like, "You are so precious to me, my princess," and he says that with like, like he means it, but he's
Mhm.
also like, "Aren't I full of shit?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like both of those things simultaneously. So like, you're so precious to him, my princess. So you got to
Yeah.
remember that, okay? Um, wow. Okay. So hear me out on this. Do you have cramps in your calves?
Um,
Occasionally, you do.
yeah, I'm always kind of sore and achy. Sure.
Okay. Not only am I getting the taste of bananas, I'm seeing bananas, and then I'm hearing Donkey Kong. So I'm like, well, just so you know, like the way I do this, like if
Yeah.
Spirit knows that you're low on potassium, I'm going to taste bananas. I'm going to get bananas. So you might be low on potassium. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and the job that has so much noise around you, it is stressful. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you're dealing with your stress, but this is what I can tell you is that if you get cramps in your body, okay, and those cramps are in a muscle because you're low on potassium, and your heart is a muscle, you got to be paying attention to the heart that's dealing with a lot of anxiety and stress. You know, if you've got a stressful job and there's so much noise and things happening, keep all, well, he's just calling you right out on it. Don't be a hypocrite, because you know, like all of the information that you'd give to other people, like if somebody else was in your position, you know what you would tell them to take care of themselves. Like you have to do that for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. And with that, he's done. That's interesting. He's like, I've said what I needed to say. He can release himself from that. He can release himself from that. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making
Thank
this
you so
happen.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Okay.
appreciate
Just
it.
know that when like we part ways at the end of this, he's with you. He's with all your people. He's with you. He's not with me. He's with you. I'm just the guy that's figured out how to be the phone line. So
Okay.
he's with you. Okay. The next thing is this. I'm going to take you off spotlight because I have to call up. I have to call up somebody here. So I'm going to put you. I'm going to remove you from the spotlight, and I'm going to now open it up to another spirit here. Okay. Um, this one's going to be a little tough for somebody to own up to. I'm laughing because I can't believe the thing that I have to say. Okay. So there's like a Catholic grandmother or mother coming to me. She would have been strict, stringent. She would have been like strict. Like you would you would have marched to the beat of her drum. Like there would have been no messing around. Like you would have followed the rules. Okay. Here's the other thing. Whoever's here is either like I'm hearing the number 5. Somebody here might be on their 5th boyfriend or 5th marriage or just got done, like number 5. And this is going to be a hard one. Like this is something that's kind of difficult for people that like this is a thing. Like 5 5 relationships. There's 5 relationships. There's like you might be married 5 times, you might be on your 5th husband, you might have just gotten out of a 5th relationship where it was like the thing about the 5s or the people that you were in relationship with, they're the 5 same, like they're the 5 same people. 5 same people. It was like I did this one, I did this one, I went through this one, I went through this one, I went through this one. There's like a sense of failure and desperation. This is a hard thing to talk about, but I have to talk to you about it. Does anybody here relate to the 5 relationships? It feels like you might be on the other side of one, on the other side of the 5th one. Does anybody here have multiple relationships? They feel like they've just met the same type of person over and over, but they feel like they're a failure because of it. Don't get stuck on the number 5, but it's multiple relationships. The question that you'd be asking yourself is, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? Why do I keep attracting the same type of person?
I had a real strict Catholic mother and keep attracting the same kind of person, not always in a romantic kind of relationship. Would that apply?
Well, hold on. There would have been repetition, not necessarily like romantic, right? Like you said, but repetition. Like I keep attracting the
Right.
same type of person over and over and over. But what's fascinating is that you'd point your finger back at you. Like you're asking yourself the wrong question. Like you keep, like, are you literally right now, Patty? Thank you for speaking up. And I want to just make sure that it's you. Are you the person like going through these repetitive relationships, whether they're romantic or friendship or work or what have you, and then you keep saying to yourself, why do I keep attracting the same type of person?
Yes. I would say yes to that. Yeah.
Okay. You're asking the wrong question. And like I'm not pointing my finger at you or wagging my finger at you. The question that you have to be asking yourself is, why is the same type of person attracted to me? So what you're doing right now is you are running into, interesting. Remember how I would have talked about like the energy vampires, like the narcissists, the energy vampires, all of that stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Bye, Pamela. Thank you for being here. Bye, Miel. People are like dropping off, and that's cool. We're going to be wrapping up here in a few moments anyways. But this is really important because you're asking the wrong question and you're placing the blame on your shoulders. And I think that this is something that a lot of people here can relate to. Attract the same type of person over and over and over. It's not a you thing. Now, you might have to like, be more discerning, work on your boundaries, all of that, but that's not a reflection of your character and it's not a reflection of your worth. And the reason why she's coming forth right now is because remember how I was just talking to Tanya about the lack of positive affirmation? Like you didn't get celebrated enough. You didn't get like, good job, kid. You didn't get that atta girl energy. You didn't get that. So then there's going to be what happens for people that don't get a certain amount of positive affirmation as they're growing up. They turn into, and again, don't want to like lean into pop psychology, but over on one side of the spectrum, you would have like narcissistic personality disorder, like the energy vampires, right? And then on the other side of that spectrum, you'd have the codependent people pleaser. So when you become a codependent people pleaser, and like I speak from experience, I've gotten messed up from narcissists because I have been that codependent people pleaser. We have this tendency of going, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Well, the only thing that could ever be wrong with you is you just wanted approval that you never got. And I think that you can relate to this in this way. Like when I was in school, like I love my parents dearly. My parents, hardcore New England farmer stock. Do you know what I mean? Like hardcore New England farmer stock. When I was a kid, I never got that good job, kid. Good job, kid. I never got that. My parents didn't know how to give that to me. So when I was in school, I really like strove academically. I like wanted to be the top of the class. I wanted to be the top of the class. The reason that I was doing that is because, and I just realized this a couple of years ago, is that when I was in school like that, I was looking for the approval of the authority figure, that I wasn't getting from my mom or my dad. So even as a young child, I had those codependent people pleasing qualities. But the message here for you is that this is just a result of things that would have happened to you, not a result of your lack of intelligence or your lack of moral fiber or your lack of character. So instead of going, what's wrong with me? You can isolate like the variables in your equation that might have made you this way. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not what's wrong with you as a person, but perhaps it's the programs or the imprinting or the things that you've encountered along the way. And I'm a big believer in observing our emotions, observing our thoughts. If we can observe our emotions or observe our thoughts, we can get and better relationship with them. For you, if you can observe your variables in your equation, do you know what I mean? Like I can observe the parts of me that made me a codependent people pleaser. And if I can observe them and kind of look at them clinically, then I can isolate them, I can heal them, I can work with them, and then I can not repeat the patterns that would have caused those things. Like predators, like energy vampires, narcissists, they will smell a codependent people pleaser from a mile away. They really will. So you're able to relate to a lot of what I'm talking about.
I am. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, this really strict mother of yours would come through, and again, just like the father that I just had, if there were things in your
Just a
life that you
second,
needed
honey.
to, if there were things in your life that you needed to improve on, she would come
Just
through
a
and talk to you
second.
about it. I think the only thing that you could improve on, Patty, is having a better perspective on the things that would have like programmed you or conditioned you as you grew up.
Okay.
Because the important part of this is, like, you wouldn't want like a daughter or a sister or a best friend to go through all of these things that you've gone through and then point her finger back at herself, right?
Right.
Okay. I think in your own way, you'd give them, like, you'd give them that sort of perspective that I'm trying to give you here. And just to, like, the short version of it is, it's not a you thing, it's a them thing. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it's not a you thing, it's a them thing. So give yourself that grace that you would want anybody that would be repeating those same kind of patterns. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Thank you.
Patty, stay with me for a few more minutes. Okay. And here's
Okay.
why. Because what I do for everybody that I sit with, whether it is in an individual reading or a group reading, I have to give people the secret to life. Okay. Can I give you the secret to life?
Please.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. People have seen me do this before. It's kind of like what spirit pushes through to me, but I want to work with you. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Then those questions you're going to answer up here. Okay. You're not going to verbalize them. So make sure that
Okay.
you don't verbalize them. First question that I have for you, Patty, is low hanging fruit. Everybody's got this. So I want you to put into your mind, please, the physical or cosmetic part of your body that you dislike the most. Can you put that in your mind for me?
Mm.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to compartmentalize your mind. Draw a line down the middle of your mind, and on the other side of your mind, I want you to put there what you would tell your daughter or your sister or your best friend if they felt that way about that part of themselves. Okay. I want to take a moment because with you, I was talking about, like, variables in our equation. Something that everybody kind of has to gain a perspective of is that the only reason that anybody feels the way they do about their body like this is because they grew up in a world that said, maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline. And if you were alive 10,000 years ago, you would not be worrying about this. You'd be too busy pulling fish out of the river to feed your family than to worry about what your reflection was in that river. Okay, so we're a product of our times, obviously. Next question, a little bit harder, but again, remember, don't vocalize it. Just put it in your mind. I want you to put in your mind your biggest regret, shame, or guilt.
Mhm.
Okay. On the other side of that line in your mind, Patty, I want you to put there what you would tell your daughter, your sister, or your best friend if they felt that way about that circumstance. Okay. I have to take a moment here to just say that you and anybody else that's going through this exercise, we all have a tendency to be incredibly unfair to ourselves, right? And I just need you to say, from a practical, clinically detached place, you're being incredibly unfair to yourself, right? Okay. You want your mama to rest in peace, don't you? Okay. Her daughter has to live in peace. Secret to life is this. The answer to the question, what would I tell my kid? Now, I know why that works, because essentially, when we ask that question, what would I tell my kid? The answer we get comes from love, which is, like I said at the beginning, the greatest source of strength and wisdom that we have access to. So if we lead with love, we find peace and we give our loved ones peace. Now, that grandmother that I was talking about, I want her to have peace no matter what. Her having peace brings me joy, which means me finding peace brings my grandmother peace, brings me joy, brings her joy. That's just the nature of love. So I'm going to say this kindly and with as much compassion as I can muster for a complete stranger, Patty. Please stop being an asshole to yourself.
Right. Thank you.
I mean, you don't have to be. So it does take a matter of repetition. We got to repeat and we got to figure out how to like develop that new language with ourselves. But please be kind to yourself. Now, last question. I told you I was going to ask you 3. The last question works like this. Okay. Put into your mind right now the biggest problem that you have in your life. If I say to you, Patty, what's the biggest problem in your life right now? What's the first thing that pops into your mind? You got it?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want peace around that? What would you tell a child to do with it? Do you get an answer?
No. No.
Okay. Now, let's follow that through. If you had a child who came to you and said, Ma, I have that problem, and you say to that child, wow, that problem is so big and complicated, I wouldn't know what to tell you. But I see that you're in suffering. So what I would encourage you to do is find space and time and comfort and food and all of those things to take the time and the space to, walk through that issue and then maybe find a solution there. So even if you didn't know what to tell your child, you know what to tell your child. Do you see?
I see.
And
Thank you.
perhaps, and this is straight from your mother, perhaps it's high time that you stop worrying about everybody else's problems and start to focus on your own. So this is about time and space for you, right? Time and space for you. Now, I want you to see that when you do take that time and space for yourself and you stop neglecting yourself, you give your mama peace. Okay. She also wants me to pass this message along to you. She's sorry that she did not tell you how special you were to her, that you were very special to her. And even now, you're special to her. Okay? Do her this glorious gift of taking care of her daughter. That's you. Okay? Now,
Yes.
with that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. It is now 1:05. I have done this for 2 hours. I am going to leave you to this. This has been recorded. This will go up on YouTube. Everybody can watch it and revisit it if they want to. But I want everybody here to go find some joy this afternoon. Okay? Go find
Thank
some
you,
joy.
Josh.
You're very welcome. Everybody take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Mouse isn't working.